Before people started social distancing, in theory at least, it was obviously pretty common to have to interact with others on a daily basis. Generally speaking, at least in my experience, most people tend to be quite polite and reasonable. But like everything else, there always has to be someone who ruins it. I believe that I've been quite fortunate in that regard, and I can't imagine why that would be the case. But that being said, there have been situations where people have made me feel uncomfortable, though it was probably just me overreacting as usual. And I think my tendency to overreact was best showcased at a party store, which we all know are the most respectable of institutions. When I first told a few people I know about this, they didn't seem to think it was that strange. In case you have the same viewpoint as those people, let me try and explain my thought process. Whenever I'm at a store, I want the interaction to be this: pay for whatever I'm buying, and leave. While a simple hello and goodbye is fine, anything else tends to make me feel a bit uncomfortable, especially if the questions are a bit personal, as I'm sure a few of you can relate to. Also, when I'm uncomfortable, I tend to get suspicious of others, so even if he had said something normal, I probably still would have been skeptical. Well, I guess you were just being overly cautious, I suppose, but when he asked the second question, my thought process took a bit of a turn. Does he want to murder me? What? I will admit, that thought process made absolutely no sense, because if they were a serial killer, they would have just followed me home, which I know they didn't do, because the entire time I was walking back from the store, I was looking over my shoulder. While this wasn't great, at least there was only one person, which can't be said for something that happened at school. In 5th grade, we would walk to each class that wasn't in our homeroom in a line, and it was quite strict. If you weren't in line, you'd need a very convincing excuse for that. Fortunately for me, I had an excuse when my shoe became untied, so I had to stop to fix it. While I was tying my shoe, the rest of the line continued walking, and then 5 middle schoolers walked up behind me. They then formed a semicircle around me, which I have to admit is a pretty good strategy if you want to rob someone. But instead of trying to take some lunch money, the person who was standing in the center of the group walked up to me. Hey, what's your name? Nicholas? Oh, okay. Well, Nicholas, you're kinda cute. I'm a boy. Oh, sorry, I gotta go. But fortunately, I never had to deal with anything weird at school again. You already know where this is going. Back in 9th grade, one of the teachers convinced the school to have a field trip to a church. We went because the church was holding a food drive for people who were in poverty or homeless in order to try and help them. After a few hours, the students were allowed to take breaks and shifts. And during my break, I was talking with a student who I'll call Mike. And we were standing pretty far away from everyone else. While we were talking, someone else walked up to us. Excuse me, but I'm having trouble carrying all my stuff. Would you two help me take these bags back to my place? It's only a few blocks from here. Alright, let's give this person the benefit of the doubt and assume that they weren't trying to be deceptive. Let's say I was in her position and I needed someone to help bring some stuff back to my home. What would have been the most sensible choice would be if I asked another one of the adults, not two random kids who, if they tried to pick up a jug of milk, looked like they wouldn't have a great time. This in itself isn't too suspicious, but if you recall, I mentioned that we were quite some distance away from everyone else and we weren't standing by an exit. On top of that, she wasn't asking for help taking the bags to her car, which already would have raised a few red flags, but to help take them a few blocks away from where everyone else was. Sorry, but we have to stay here. Please? It's not that far. Sorry, but we can't. I could really... No. I did feel a bit bad for telling her no. After all, Mike could be a bit annoying at times. Anyway, if there's a moral to this video, it's to not tell random cashiers where you live, don't approach people like you're going to rob them, and don't agree to walk several blocks to help someone with their groceries. Because now, you know. thanks for watching the video. I didn't mention it in the last video, but July marked the 1-year anniversary of my first upload, so I just wanted to quickly say thanks for watching my videos. It means a lot. And with that said, thanks again for watching, and I hope you stay safe.